All right, we are back, and we have not one, but two special guests with us today. Our first guest is a world-renowned surfer and shaper, a perennial world longboard title contender, overall style master, who by the age of 13 had already won 2 British shortboard titles, and by the age of 18 had won every category in every major British longboard event. Our second guest is the 2023 Rip Curl Grom Search International Champion. He just won his first Boardmasters title right in his home country. He's only 16 years old. He's also well on his way to qualifying for the 2025 WSL Challenger Series, currently sitting at 6th on the men's European regional QS rankings. Proving out the apples and trees theory, he also happens to be the son of our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today Cornwall's Ben and Lukas Skinner. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on the lineup.
Thanks, Dave. Stoked to be here, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. And you guys are coming to us from across the pond. Where are you at the moment? What time is it? And what have you guys gotten up to today?
We're in Anglet in France. We're here for the QS that starts tomorrow. I think it's 6 p.m. right now. So, it's been a fun day of surf, and we're just cruising around.
So if you're in Europe and it's 6 p.m., you guys have another 5 hours before dinner, so you got plenty of time for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the challenging things for us, I think, on the WSL side in recent years with that calendar inversion has been the loss of the CT events in autumn in Europe. I think whether you were a surfer or a fan or a fortunate staff member that got to travel there, it's a pretty special time. How have the waves been, this week in France so far, and how's it looking for the event?
When we first got here, the waves were really good, like 3 to 4 foot and clean. But the waves here are so good. But the start of this week, it's been pretty flat. We had the night surf, which was run by aside the QS, which me and Tia Zabrowski managed to win. The waves were really fun. And then we had the Grom Search, the Rip Curl Grom Search European final the next day. And the waves were super small, super tricky. And so, it's one of those, it's like a full QS grind this week. It's going to be small but clean. Around there's some real good waves, so it's been good.
That's good.
I think normally September primarily, like you get, that's like one of the best months for Europe generally. So far hasn't really provided this month, but it looks like the following week when the Quicksilver event starts, it should be pretty mental. But we just got to roll with it. Surfing, right? Every day is different.
Yeah, we have a good line like, having been here for 20 years, it's always like, well, if you're organizing an event and it could be the most buttoned up, polished event, like everyone's like staffed well, everything's prepared. And if the waves are bad, it's kind of a disaster. And conversely, it could be a complete shit show. And if the waves are pumping, people think it's the best event ever. So we are beholden to Mother Nature. But Lukas, you mentioned that the night surfing event, but that was for charity. Was that right?
Yeah, so it was for charity. Me and Tia were on Team Rip Curl, so it was super cool to surf for them. And it was just a real fun event. There was how many teams was there? Six teams. It was just real fun. Like the vibe was cool. We had LED lights on our boards, and we had the waves lit up, so it was pretty hard to see. But it was super fun. It was challenging, and it was a good late night. We finished the contest at like 12 a.m. I think. It was late, but it was super cool, and it was cool to be a part of it for the first time. And then to take the win was real cool.
That's awesome. Now, you guys have both had a pretty big year. Lukas, you're 16 years young. You got so much sort of room to grow, but you've already got your first QS win, right, at the Junior Open at the BYD Pro Shortboard Finals at Feistral last August. You're here in Europe, you're doing the QS, you're looking good on the regional rankings for the Challenger Series. Like, when you set out in 2024, did you have specific goals that you were looking to achieve? And if so, how are you tracking with those?
Obviously I had a couple goals. Always to kind of try and win a QS event was the first main goal. But it's my first proper year on the QS, so I was kind of just going into it, just going to go with the flow. And like the Challenger wasn't really in my head at all. It kind of started off at Fistral and it all just went real well. Like it was at home. I felt amazing. And yeah, I just went heat by heat and ended up in the final. It was the first All Brit final I think ever with Pat from Wales. So yeah, already before I got in that final, it was amazing. And then yeah, to be the first Brit to win Board Masters in 22 years was insane. And then yeah, after that I was leading the rankings. Went to Lacanau in France. I got a fifth there, which I was super happy to like back it up after winning, because it's one of those. It's like you're in first round after, and you're like, I really don't want to lose after coming from a win. So yeah, that was cool. And then went to the first 3,000 of the year in Spain. I made a couple heats. I think I got 25th in the end, which was not really what I was going for. But it's one of those. It's a 3,000. It's going to be way harder. And yeah, just going heat by heat every event, and it's getting close to the Challenger Cup. But yeah, we'll see. I just got to get a good result on the 3,000, so we'll see how that goes this week.
Yeah. Now, Ben, I guess if anyone's around surfing for long enough, we always get excited about, family pairings, whether they're brothers and sisters, brothers and brothers, fathers and sons. And you yourself, having had such an esteemed career in professional surfing and still in a lot of ways competing at peak powers, you must be really proud of where Lukas is at so early in his career, but I'd imagine that as with all parents, there's a little bit of balance of like, all right, like let's not do too much too soon. Like let's build for the long term as opposed to a quick flash. Do you have kind of an approach when you're traveling with Lukas and trying to keep him kind of level in his performances?
Yeah, I think, we've always just focused on enjoying our sport. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, yes, we both love competing. I think, I've always really enjoyed that side of I love competing. Lukas definitely has that as well. But first and foremost, we just love surfing. We did that together even as a family with Michelle and my other two children as well. We spend our lives on the beach. We spend our lives surfing. It's like it's one of the best things as a family to do. And I feel like we're enjoying that everywhere we go. We're going to keep that up first and foremost. We love going and chasing swells, getting barreled together, having that kind of relationship has been, I just feel really lucky that my kids love what me and Michelle loved and still do. But competing wise, for Lukas at the moment, it's just about having fun, enjoying it, getting some experience. He's so young. As much as anyone, this road is a long road. Getting to a CT level is takes a long time. He's not trying to do that right now. We're just gonna keep if he's in the right moment and the events are there, we're gonna do it. But if there's swells and in places where he wants to go, he's lucky enough to have support from the likes of Red Bull and Rip Curl and Dry Robe and stuff at the moment, so that if he wants to go on these trips there's no format at the moment, really. It's just enjoying himself. And I think that's showing, because that's when results are coming for him, when he's happy in a good place. And I think that's the same for anyone, especially me. That's how I feel at the moment. The more relaxed and happy you are, the better you seem to do.
Yeah. No, I think that's sage advice, I think, specifically for all of our listeners out there that are either parents or kids or, as you said, any of us that have been around this long enough have seen things that work and certainly plenty of things that don't work. Ben, with regards to your own competitiveness and again, you're still, getting on podiums and it's a little bit like, that Rocky movie where he's like, I still got stuff in the basement. I still have stuff. And do you feel the same way? Do you still have a fire to compete? And do you yourself have competitive goals every year?
Yeah, I do. I really love competing. As I said before, it's something that I really get a lot of drive out of that day to day. It gives me a real foundation to focus on and drive towards, even with shaping and making boards, designing and keeping up with the current changes that have been going on in the longboard world. I find it exciting. And not only that, we're part of a big family. Longboarding scene it's such a nice thing to be part of. The longboard community is amazing. They're some of my best friends. I've known them for 20, 30 years, and Like I don't want it to end yet. I'm having fun, and I think the results have started to come really for me in the later years. I just feel like, just like as I said before, just enjoying myself, relaxed, not focusing on winning a world title. I mean, that would be amazing if that happens, but it's not all about that. It's about having having fun, being part of something. The longboard tour has got a lot better in the past 3 or 4 years.
Mhm.
WSL have put a lot more effort into that. We're going to better locations. We're getting more opportunities. And for like 7 years of that, we were in one left-hander in China, and
Right. Yeah.
it definitely got stale for me, and I wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. And when the changes came in, I just found it a real challenge to change from that progressive style of surfing that my generation was in.
Yeah.
Um, it was a real challenge. We get to go to some amazing places now and some of the most incredible waves like Bells Beach. We're obviously heading to Abu Dhabi wave pool next week for the third event, and we've been finishing at Malibu the last few years. We're going to be finishing at El Sunzao in El Salvador this year. So, I think I'm just going to keep as long as I'm having fun. I'm going to keep doing it.
Good for you, man. I'm glad you brought up the shaping thing too, because you are the lead shaper and founder of Skindog Surfboards. How long have you been shaping? And then, even sort of at a glance the other day at the website, like the boards look phenomenal. Lucas rides them as well, right? Like it's not just longboards, it's mid-length, it's shortboards. And I think given your background, Ben, is a very, very capable and successful shortboarder and longboarder, it seems like a pretty rare thing in shaping to have someone that's proficient at sort of both ends of the design spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, shaping was something that just happened naturally for me. I think I've been making boards now for 16 years.
Yep.
We've been making boards, and really before that, I just had like passion and love for surfboards and design, and always like geeked out on that sort of thing, and really enjoyed riding different types of surfboards. And I was lucky enough to work for some amazing shapers, Chops the Sales being one of them, who was like a real mentor and father figure for me. His sons are like my best friends and brothers that I've grown up with, and it really, like, he had a shaping factory and a surfboard factory next to the house. That when I was 11 years old, I used to became best friends with the family, and we every weekend we went there. We were around and in the factory and around making boards, and I fell in love with it at that age. So when we found out Lucas was going to be born, it was time for me to kind of, at 23 years old, kind of go, okay, surfing's great and it's giving me an amazing foundation, but it's not going to last forever. And I still want to be part of surfing. And so we started Skindog Surfboards, myself and Jason Gray, who's my business partner. And we ended up having boys 8 days apart. And we started Skindog Surfboards really to start something for them and ourselves. And weirdly, it's come to a point where we are making his boards now for him, and he is at the level he's at. And it's just such an exciting part of our journey, like right now, because we feel like not only are we love making longboards and mid length, but we're also making like Ferraris for him, and making the fastest, best boards on the planet is our game. Is our goal for him. So yeah, it's really exciting, and it's just the fact that we've just developed a relationship as a surfer shaper as well as surfer, father and son.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully, yeah. I'm sure he can't say he doesn't love the boards, but yeah, it's been exciting, and we just love it. We're so behind him as well, and I think that's also a big part of it. We have a team of people in the factory at home, like Charlie, our sander. Pablo is working on our ding repairs and does all our fins, and then Sam Rooney is our sprayer. He's been spraying surfboards for 30 years. Jason Gray is my business partner, has been a laminator for over 35 years. So we've got some of the best people in the industry from our region, but they're also his biggest fans and supporters, And I feel that's such a special thing that you need to like do what he's doing. And even me, you know, they're the same with me. They're there. They're up at 3 a.m. If it's 3 a.m, the heat's on, they're up. They're watching it. So it's been amazing, and I wouldn't really change it for the world. And we're just going to keep doing it.
That's awesome. Lucas, your dad joked there for a minute, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Like, and obviously you're a young dude here, but best thing in your experience so far, having your dad be such a high level shaper and supplying you with equipment. And if there has been an instance so far, again, you're a young dude, where you've gone, oh, you know, I kind of wish my dad wasn't my shaper in this moment because I'll have some feedback.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. Like ever since I started surfing, I got my first ever new board, and it was the best thing ever. And then just from there, we went working on models, changing boards, what I don't like, what I love. And yeah, it's kind of got to a point now where I believe that I'm on some of the best shortboards in the world. I've had people try my boards when I've been traveling. I've tried theirs, and they've absolutely loved them. And it's going really well. Like I haven't had many boards ever that I've not liked. There's been things that I wanted to change, and we changed, and now I've got like a range of models, which is the Lukas model. I have a swallowtail, a squash tail, and a round tail, and it's like such a good all-round sort of quiver, and they're just going amazing. I've just feel so comfortable on them, and all the Groms around UK are riding them, and they're loving them too, which is super cool to see. But yeah, it's one of those where the boards feel like they're getting better every time we're changing them. At the moment, we're not changing them. I don't feel like there's anything I want to change. And yeah, I've tried boards also this year. Just things like there's been people's boards I've liked the look of or something, and I've tried them, but there's been nothing actually that has changed my head that make me think they're better or worse. I feel like I'm on the best boards that I've ever tried. So yeah, we're just going to keep going, keep trying new things, and yeah, it's going real good. And the boys at the factory are like a second family. Their support is insane. And when I'm at home, I'm hanging out at the factory with all of them, just kind of having a good time around the factory. And yeah, it's real cool. They all love surfing. We'll go out days surfing at the beach, and yeah, it's sick.
Good for you, man. You know, it's one of the joys of getting to do this podcast the last couple of years is we've had the Vissla CT Shaper rankings that have sort of measured sort of shaper performance at the CT level. And there's always tiers, and we kind of highlight that. It's like not all the programs are the same size, but you know, the big conversation point over the last couple of episodes, and it came up last week with Chris Cote as well, is that the potency of a surfer-shaper relationship has the potential not only to transform the achievements of the surfer, but also the potential of the shaper as well. And there's been a lot of talk about, you know, John Florence working with John Pizell from such a young age. And then we recently saw it again with Katie Simmers and Chris Borse. So I'd imagine for both of you, it's so advantageous with that relationship and that intimacy and that ability to be candid of like, look, I need these boards to do this, Dad. And then, you know, Ben, you're able to take that feedback, transform it into board designs. And for someone like Lucas, it's like, this is doing exactly what I want. And you're able to kind of grow not only Lucas's career, but the board brand as well from there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the biggest goals for me is to get Skindog Surfboards onto that Shapers rankings on the CT. So that's a big one. Jason at the factory, he's like the biggest frother, and he's kind of looking at that thing, and he's one of his biggest dreams is to get on that list, same as Dad, I'm sure. But yeah, that's definitely a big one. And just like every event I go to, it's cool for people to see my boards, and like they're always wondering what I'm riding, and they're always asking about them, which is really cool. And yeah, it's sick, and hopefully one day we'll get on that list.
That's awesome. We're going to take a quick break to get a word in from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. This is the Lineup Podcast. I'm Dave Prodan here with the UK's Ben and Lukas Skinner. You know, guys, we talked about where you're at this moment in 2024. It's so impressive, the success you've had. Lucas, particularly for you at such a young age, but Ben, particularly for you just across the course of your entire life. I want to kind of wind the clock back and, Ben, give us some background on where you were born and raised, what family life was like, and how you got into surfing when you were younger.
Yeah, so I was actually born in Jersey in the Channel Islands,
Okay.
and I grew up there with my three sisters, my mum and dad, and my dad was a full full keen surfer. He was actually president of the Jersey Surfboard Club when I was a kid. Um, so he actually finished fourth in the European Masters, and he's competed a lot himself. But mainly, he was like a huge part of the surfing community wherever we were as when I was a kid, and so therefore I was kind of right amongst that. So yeah, at about 10 years old, moved to Cornwall, and that was a huge move for us in for the start of my career because there was much bigger platform, more events, national titles,
Right.
and just naturally started surfing more, competing more, and we just as a family, it's something we always did. We actually spent a lot of time down in Hossegor, down in France, where we are right now. Funnily enough,
Right.
Mum and Dad had a house down here, so we spent sort of 4 or 5 weeks here when I was up to about 12 years old. From sort of 5 years old, we were always coming down here surfing in the mornings when the wind went on shore. My dad liked water skiing, so we had a boat on the lake and just very much surf water orientated family life. Salt water on the brain always really.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Tell me a little bit more about the island of Jersey. I confess I've never heard of it until we just talked about it. And I mean, what was your family doing out there? And then also for those of us that are uninitiated, what are the waves like?
Well, Mum and Dad were actually born in Jersey in the Channel Islands, as was I. The waves actually have some really good qualities. There's some amazing surf there. The consistency is not very
Mm,
high.
right.
It's sort of it's in the English Channel. The Channel Islands are just above sort of Brittany, like North France.
Yep.
So they don't get as much swell as Cornwall. Cornwall's like right on the tip of England, and
Yeah.
we have the north and the south coast, so we get a lot more swell there, and it's just a lot more consistent. But the surf community in Jersey's thriving. It's always has been. It's right even to this day. There's been some amazing surfers come out of Jersey. And yeah, it was just as I said, the surf community's huge. I think surfing it's just been a huge part of their lives over there, and it still is. And we were just part of that every day. And everyone lives at the beach near enough there that I knew. So yeah, it's a beautiful. I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful island. It really
Yeah.
is stunning. Um, but it's very small. It's like Heathrow Airport is bigger than Jersey. So, and it's quite hard to get from Jersey to. You have to basically fly into London to fly anywhere else in the world. So
Right.
it has its limitations, but it's also a tax haven. So there is a lot of money there, a lot of business owners and people doing really well. But there's also the other side, um, and yeah, there's the surf bums, which was me.
When you moved to Cornwall, was there any culture shock for you, like coming from Jersey?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, mainly just I actually went to a private school up until 10, 11 years old, like an all boys private school. And when we moved to Cornwall, I went straight into a public school, and that was the main thing for me. I mean, at my age, 10, 11 years old, that's quite a big deal.
Yeah.
Just changing schools and meeting new friends, and it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, really. And I met some of my best friends, as I said, Chops Lascelles. His son was one of the first people I met, and we're still best friends to this day. And so I've made some incredible friends there. Cornwall, absolutely love Cornwall. It's such a rad place to live, and it's safe for the kids. It's again, the community is just incredible, like as a whole, not just the surf community, but the community in general. And yeah, we just feel really lucky. My mum and dad started a brewery there, so that's what we did. And that's why we moved there to start one of the first breweries in Truro, which is the city of Cornwall. and yeah, that was it really. And surfing is just Lucas has that life now. I mean, he's from, I don't know, from 4 years old. We really started surfing, got him surfing, and they're still your friends now. That's all they do, right? It's just you've got Nuki board riders. There's a huge amount of board riders around England. Nuki board riders is one of the biggest we have there. There's probably, I think there's like close to 100 kids on the board
awesome.
riders.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they have a real cool little surf club. We can drop him down the beach there, and he surfs all day, pretty much.
Yeah, and they're cool. They put cool contests on for all the Groms, and it was a big thing, like being part of a board riders. Like I had so many friends before I joined there, and then I joined there, and you meet so many other people that you kind of wouldn't have met, and they're now my best friends, and we go down there every day in the summer, and we're just chilling down at the beach. We surf all day, we hang out, and yeah, it's just real fun. And Gary Collins, who's one of the guys who run Nuki board riders, he's like the legend of Nuki, and he's been like a legend to me my whole life. He's one of Dad's good friends. So yeah, it's just the community is growing more and more. And yeah, there's so many Groms there. It's crazy, and it's cool to go surf with them all the time. So
yeah, that sounds really nice and stable. And I think for those of us that have been able to travel, like you see similar kind of really inclusive, like really sustainable board riders clubs in the likes of Australia. And I think those two kind of components are lending themselves to people in the US who are trying to stand these things up as well, just because of the community aspect of it. You know, Lucas, even though you are young, you've traveled the world quite a lot. Does Cornwall to you, I'm putting you on the spot again, but does it feel kind of like a forever home in a way? Do you feel like you'll always come back to Cornwall because of, your upbringing there?
yeah, people always ask me like, will I move out of it, Cornwall and all of this? But honestly, I don't think I'll ever move out of Cornwall as my proper home. I was born there. I think I'll always that'll be my base. I have so many friends there, all my family, and it's a real cool place to go and turn off. And yeah, it's one of those traveling the world made me appreciate home so much more. I always loved home, but now I'm away more than I'm home.
Right.
When I go back, I love being at home so much. And yeah, the waves are amazing as well. Like we have some really good waves. In the winter, it gets real good. There's a couple good waves. The summer it gets small, but it's always good for training. We have a couple real good days here and there. But yeah, there's always stuff to do. I play golf with all my friends. I used to skateboard until I hurt myself pretty bad when I was 11. So I stopped doing that. That was another big part of my life, was in the skate community in Cornwall. It was massive. It was kind of where my airs in surfing kind of got bigger. Right. I all learned from skating pretty much. So yeah, Cornwall, there's so much to do. I have so much love for it, and I think I'll always live there. So yeah.
I love it. Ben, when you were coming up, obviously, Europe loves a dynasty, and it sounds like your family is a surfing dynasty unto itself. I mean, we've at least identified 3 generations on this very podcast. But my question is, growing up in the UK, what was your kind of professional surfing career aspirations like? What were you looking at the time? Did you want a shortboard? Did you want a longboard? Did you want to do contests? Did you want to, do the Tom Curran search thing? Like, what was the idea when you were younger, and when did it first kind of click for you where you're like, oh, I could do this as a career?
Well, I was pretty lucky at the age of 11 years old to sign with Quicksilver as a shortboarder. And I got to, at that point, where I was going on training camps with Rob Bowden-Smith, Sandhill Warrior, and with people like Danny Wills, Mick Campbell, Gary Elkerton, Tom Carroll. And it really just lit a fire. And that was, they really, they gave you a real good platform. That was when generations started to train more. We started to become more athletes, so to speak, in the sport. And I loved it. I loved every minute of what I was doing. Shortboarding was definitely always the driving force for me as a kid, until I started to grow up I grew quite quick, got quite big quite quickly, and surfing events at home generally the waves are pretty small, and I started to struggle a lot in those conditions during the summer months when they generally run the events. Um, and I just naturally started doing longboard events that were alongside the shortboard events and started to do well in them. And I just thought, you know what, I really enjoy this. I love the longboard community, and I just thought this is for me, and it just kind of fitted. And actually, we're really lucky in Cornwall to have access to the rest of the UK. It's
Right.
really easy for us to go to Scotland, to go to Ireland, to go to the northeast of England, and there's some incredible waves around our country. And that was to me. We used to just get in the car, like 4 or 5 mates, and stick a tent in there, all the boards we can, and drive to the best surf destination at the time in the country. And there's slabs, barrels, points, islands where there's nobody there, and I just that was what we did. And if the swell came up on the northeast of England, we were gone. We'd just get in the car and go, and that became like a staple diet for me and my friends. And competing was just really a bonus, really. It always has been, but as I said, I think it really gave me a driving force in my life to really like when I had contests coming up. I always seem to, it just gives me focus and drive and yeah, that's really it. But going surfing on surf trips to the best waves is really what it's about for me. And well, it's cold there, and people are like, you're mad. Some of the places we go to and camp is like people you think you're absolutely bonkers, but that's what surfing does to you. And we're surfing waves on our own, like some of the best waves that I've ever seen, traveling around the world, and there's nobody there. So we are really lucky to have that in the UK, and we started doing that with Lukas when he was little, and we've done some strike missions to some pretty rad places. And that's always going to be on our agenda for every winter that comes around. It's like, okay, we've got a tick list some of the waves that we want to go and surf together. And that's one of the most exciting parts of it all for me.
That's awesome. And I think, Lukas, in addition to having your dad kind of like clear the path for you in a lot of ways and being able to impart his life of experience to you, not just in the surfing space, but also, I mean, let's face it, the surfing world, the industry's changed so much over the last few decades, and having to navigate that in a way is also challenging. So I'd imagine, Lukas, having your dad be there for you, not just in the water, but also to kind of give you guidance on like, maybe this is a good partnership, maybe this kind of trip is good, maybe let's pursue this kind of contest. It's a huge advantage compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to have someone with so much experience, and yeah, just it like you said at the start, having structure and going to the right events, going to the right places for swells. Like we said, we got a little list that we want to go surf, and it's cool to go travel the world and surf, but it's also cool to like travel the UK because there are some insane waves, and it is cool to have someone with so much like guide, and he knows exactly where I need to go, where I need to be, and it's been a big advantage for sure. And yeah, it's cool to just be able to like share all the journeys with him, and yeah, travel the world, have fun, go to contests, and it's cool to watch him on the world tour as well. That's been another big thing, watching him compete my whole life, seeing him get real close to world titles, win 12 European titles, and it gives me that drive also. I was there for his last European title last year in the Europeans in Portugal, and that was insane to watch. So I think all my drive comes from there and all my experience. So it's been a big part for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you're one of Rip Curl's team riders, and Rip Curl as a brand, as a company, in a lot of ways, is sort of perfectly positioned for how both you and your dad talk about surfing, right? Where you have the competitive angle, where there's a drive and you want to perform and you want to achieve, but underpinning all that is just a desire to go get great waves, right? And I think Rip Curl's search campaign kind of fits up nicely with that. Lucas, how long have you been with Rip Curl, and what have been your experiences with the brand?
Yeah, Rip Curl signed me when I was just about to turn 12. So I was 11 at the time. So it's been a long time already, and yeah, I love the brand. I love the people in the brand, the team riders, everyone behind the scenes, and the search is a big thing, and that's definitely that's a road I want to go down for sure. Go on trips with all the best Rip Curl riders in the world. Maybe some cool people like Tom Curran, and it would be a big dream to go on trips with them with Rip Curl. But yeah, they're so supportive, and that's another thing Rip Curl are amazing at. They love the contest side of it, but they love like exploring the world and exploring the best surf spots in the world, and making sure they keep like surfing as your passion still, and always having fun, always with the right people. And it's been a good adventure, and I'm excited for them couple of next years to come. But yeah, I don't know how long it's been. I'm 16. How long has that been on?
It's been like a third of your life, Lucas.
Years. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And it's been amazing. The first trip they took him on was to Waco.
All right, yeah, of course.
And there's a clip on his Instagram that's pretty mad, and he starts doing like 12 years old doing 4 rotations pretty quickly in the day, and it was just such a, all of a sudden they're just giving you the platform and the opportunities to grow as an athlete.
Yeah, and like you said, on that first trip, I met like people I've never been on trips with before. One of them was Matthias. He's from Portugal. He actually gave me my stickers when I first joined, and now he's like one of my best mates. He's here at the QS. I've been grinding the waves with him the last couple of days. And yeah, like Justin Becret, a French surfer, who's on the Challenger Series now. So I was on the first trip with some amazing people, and they're like mentors for me now. And it's cool to be able to see them during the QS tour and getting to surf fun waves with them. So.
Ben, when Lucas goes somewhere like Waco for his first trip with Rip Curl, and you're getting the vision back as a dad, being like, whoa, like, do you ever kind of like, is there ever a little cognitive dissonance for how you grew up surfing, being like, I had no idea we'd be able to do this? It's like aquatic ramps out there.
Yeah, totally. I actually was lucky enough to go with him on that trip.
Cool,
so I was kind of like, I was turned into the filmer, like, which was kind of mad at that time. For me, I never thought I'd be stood behind the camera 20 years ago,
Right, yeah.
But as a dad, you just, and I loved it. I love it. I love every minute of standing behind the camera, watching him. I almost get like, it almost is as beneficial, it gives me the same feelings, almost better than watching him surf and getting bowed and achieving his, doing the 4 rotations. When he first started doing that, it just blew my mind, and I loved it. I was happy on the other side of the lens this time. Yeah. And like when he won at the Boardmasters the other day, I don't think I've had a win that's made me ever feel that. And I feel like that's really exciting for me because, I get better. I don't even know how to put it into words, but it's like, I love it so much. And so watching him surf, compete, is just the best thing ever. It's like, so I'm stoked. I'm happy to be that. But also it's funny because when we do get good sessions and the waves are like really good and hollow, like it turns into a battle between us who's going to get the best barrel. And it's so good. And I just feel like that just keeps raising the level of me and him together. And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. I feel you. I got 10-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and I think just being a parent, you're like, man, I've never been so excited about anything in my life as I am for the things that they end up doing. And you mentioned the longboard community earlier, Ben, and my little guy, I try to keep him a little bit separate and apart from the WSL of it all, because I'm like, I don't need you to mainline like competition or any of that. Like, if you want to surf, let's just go surf for fun kind of thing. But a little bit always creeps in, he's like, hey, let's watch Dane Reynolds. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, you're 10, but he, he's now at this point where he can longboard and like navigate a lineup and catch his own waves. And he's so psyched. And so I'll be going with him a lot. And I'm like, man, part of me wishes I'd pursued this because, as you mentioned, like the community, like no communities without its assholes, but it's like everyone's pretty cool. Like it's a pretty like relaxed situation. And, we live up in Ventura County, and I would never, ever claim that it gets as cold as Cornwall or the island of Jersey or anywhere in the UK. But it does get cold, particularly in the springtime. We get the channel winds and it gets really, really cold. And, one of the things that the kids and I have been using the last few years is Dry Robe. And that's one of your guys' sponsors. This is an episode that's brought to us by Dry Robe, but ideal for the kids. Like they can just hang out on the beach all day. They don't freeze. But I mean, my question to both of you guys, when did you first get in touch with Dry Robe? And, what's been your experience like using the products?
Well, Dry Robe's been an absolute game changer for us. Like Lucas, I think it would have been like maybe 5 years ago. Would have been a similar time before Rip Curl, probably. And like honestly, like we as I said before, spending every day at the beach in Cornwall,
right?
It has its challenges, right? It's amazing, it's beautiful, community's amazing, but my God, does it get cold? And it's like, and the thing is you don't want to go home, right? You get out to sea and you want to surf again, and you want to spend your day there. So for us, like, especially when he was little, having a Dry Robe in the van was like a game changer. And we just put him in the Dry Robe, still in the wetsuit, sit him in the car because they don't, they stop your seat getting wet. They're just incredible. And turn the heater on, get as warm as you can, get back out, straight back in there. Get back in the Dry Robe, stick him in the car. We're not getting changed outside in the cold. We're just going to drive home and get in a warm shower. And it was just a real amazing product that was kind of like, wow, why hasn't this been done before? How much difference? I didn't have that. My dad used to put me in. He used to take a big bucket of warm, like hot water, but basically boiling when we went to the beach. Put our wetsuits in it on the way down there, so that when we got to the beach, the wetsuits come out, they're soaking wet but boiling hot, and put them on. And then when I got out the sea, I'd get out of my wetsuit and jump in the bucket and go home like in this bucket in the back of the van. And that was kind of, for him, it was just totally different. Obviously, the wetsuits are so much better now and everything, but as soon as you get out, when you're in the water, it's fine. It's when you get out and you're on the beach. And that's when the cold really sets in. So, and now, we have Levin, my youngest is 8, and Lila, Luke's sister, she's 14 now. And literally, it's just, our house is pretty much just full of Dry Robes. And because it's just been such a big part of like living in a cold place, and making it so much easier. So yeah, it's been incredible, and going to these destinations like Scotland and the northeast of England, they are way colder than Cornwall, like way colder. The northeast of England gets to like 5 degrees Celsius. The water can drop down to, and the wind chill's like -10, -13. It's proper brutal. So all these things just make surfing easier and more fun. So as the kids want to keep doing it through the winter, that this is one of the things you need in your life.
That does seem like one of the better things that's emerged in 2024 as far as like brands and sponsorships and industries go. It's like, I think the consumers are so informed now with social media and the information age that they're really like, what are the products that are going to help me change my life? And I think for a period of time you went through like, here's a clothing company for clothing company's sake, and they're all ubiquitous and it doesn't really matter. And it's like, you kind of think back to the start of the surf industry where it's like, this brand built like its clothing company on the back of like this wetsuit was changing people's lives, or this board short, or this surfboard. And I feel like a lot of companies these days are just focused on like, what product is actually going to work for the person that's going to help them surf better or help their experience be better. And it feels like Dry Robe is right in that lane. And, Lucas, what kind of particular products do you use on day in and day out on the Dry Robe side?
Dry Robe is amazing. Dry Robe, they've been a big game changer for me for surfing when I was younger, especially because I did struggle when it was the winter, like surfing during the cold. And yeah, it was a big one. And now, like, traveling the world, having a gyro blight there. So the gyro blight's a new one that came this year, I think it was, and it's been a big one because it's lighter. You can travel with it. It's not as heavy. And then also, like, even during the warmer kind of places in the world, you can be up at Dornies in France and not be in a massive thick thing that's amazing when it's freezing cold, but you can be in a nice jacket when it's kind of cold but not too cold. And it's been an amazing thing to have during the surf. But even like my mum walks the dog all the time at home, and she loves the gyro. And you see people in the shops now at home with just like in gyros casually walking around town. So it's like also a big thing in surfing, but like all around Cornwall, all around England now, I see them just like everywhere. Like some random places I see people in gyros. And then also they've got the gyro boots that they're amazing. Like the winter when you get out of the surf and you are getting dressed at the beach, you put some socks on, you get your feet in them, and they're toasty. So
they're like sleeping bags for
yeah,
your feet, basically.
that works in them during the winter in the Shaping Bay when it's that cold. You'll see him. He's got big black puffy shoes on.
I liked what you said about seeing him in the street, because I'll turn around and I'll be like, oh, we're twins and I are going to dinner downtown, and I'll turn around, I'm like, they both have them on, you know. I'm like, all right, that's fine, like whatever, whatever's comfy for you guys, that looks good. So thanks for that, guys. We're gonna take one more quick break, and we will be back to wrap up the conversation with Ben and Lukas Skinner. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are back. This is the lineup. I am Dave Prodan here with Ben and Lukas Skinner. Ben, you know, by the time this episode airs, we're just going to be a few days away from the longboard tour making its first appearance at the Abu Dhabi wave pool. This will probably be, honestly, one of the biggest showcases of that facility that's been public so far. It's been largely kept under wraps. Like, how are you feeling about this event and competing in wave pools in general?
I'm super excited to go there. I mean, what an experience just to get to go and surf something like that. I mean, look, as much as there's, you know, a lot of people will talk down wave pools, but if you have the chance to go and surf it, you're going to go.
Sure, yeah.
and so, yeah, I'm very lucky I think we're really lucky as a tour to be going there. I have to be honest, it's very stressful competing in a wave pool. It's like, you don't really feel pressure like that in any other competitive environment. And it's bizarre. Like, I even know the minute that my waves are going to be arriving and taking, and
right.
It's just so bizarre. Like there's nothing else really like it. But the wave looks amazing. And actually we had an event at the ranch, like maybe 3-4 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And once I think if you can get through the first round, because I think we're getting 6 practice waves each before the event starts, whereas at the ranch we had 1 wave each to practice, 2, so 1 right, 1 left each. So it's pretty intense, you know, to like, you got to try and figure the wave out. The wave goes, you know, the ranch, it's fast, it's noisy, it's powerful, it's quite intimidating. Like all of a sudden you don't see that when you see it on the screen. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but I'm really excited about it. I think, who wouldn't be? And actually, I'm in a good position. I think I've pretty much secured my spot in El Salvador already, so I can go into this event and kind of enjoy myself and not have too much pressure on myself, and just enjoy the moment and being there in this like phenomenal wave pool that's been created. I mean, I can't wait, to be honest.
Yeah, it is so interesting for anyone that's been there, competed there, like agnostic of discipline, shortboard, longboard. Everyone says a version of the same thing. It's like, it is very stressful because you get a finite amount of opportunity and there's nowhere to hide, in a way, like where it's like, in the ocean, you can be like, I didn't get the wave, or I wasn't in the right spot, or like, maybe I'll get another wave kind of thing. And it's like, nope, it's like, you've got your opportunity in the wave system, you're going to perform or not. And speaking of that Lemoore event a couple of years ago, this may have just been kind of a bias on my part because I'd seen so much shortboarding up until that event. I really loved the way the longboarding community approached that wave. I thought it was such an interesting way. And because it's a consistent canvas, you see really interesting things in longboarding that maybe you didn't I didn't necessarily see shortboarding all the time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an amazing canvas for longboarding. There's no doubt about that. You're going to really see the intricacies in people's footwork.
Yep.
Critical nose rides, powerful rail turns. Those things are going to be very evident and very clear to see. So that's one thing I'm excited about. That I think we're all there. We're all trying to do our best as surfers and have fun while we're there, but we all want to win. And it's going to be exciting. I think a lot of people enjoyed the longboard event at the ranch, and it's going to be exciting. It's hard to fit those boards in that wave when it's really hollow too. I don't know what settings we're going to get. So there's a certain amount. It's actually it's definitely going to be a challenge, but that's what we're here for. So I'm excited. I can't actually wait, and it's going to be warm. Going to be in shorts.
I like that. Lukas, you mentioned you're in Onglet at the moment, and for the Rip Curl Pro Onglet, it's a QS 3000 event. So by the time this airs, the event will have been completed. But you mentioned before your Skindog Lukas model comes in 3 tails, squash pin, and swallow. What are you going to be running during the event?
So this week it's going to be pretty small. The last couple of months we worked on a new model, the Swallowtail.
Yep.
It was kind of just my squash model with a swallow in it. People thought we changed the board massively, but actually we just changed a little bit. I wanted my squash feel, like the speed and everything, but with a bit more grip and like a bit more push. And that board has been amazing for me when it's 4 to 6 foot and when it's half a foot. So I'm going to be on the squash tail this contest. Swallow, sorry. Yeah. And I surfed a new one this morning, and it was literally like shin high, and the thing was flying. So I'm going to be on that, just PU. And yeah, it's feeling amazing and feeling fast. So I'm excited to see how it goes this week.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of swallowtails myself, and fellow Rip Curl team rider Gabriel Medina was one of the guys that would run them in most conditions over the last few years. So you're in good company there. And after the Onglet event, Lukas, like what's the back end of your 2024 year look like? Any trips? Any more contests? What are you thinking?
After this event, I've actually got like a day or 2 days to get to Razo in Galicia, Spain. I have the last Pro Junior of the year, so that's the second one. I'm currently 5th on the rankings, so I'm looking to go and win that hopefully, and maybe get to the World Juniors. After that, just want to go have some fun this winter. Maybe go to Hawaii. Nuki Board Riders actually got a spot in the Usher Cup at Snapper Rocks at the start of 2025, which is a massive thing for Cornwall and the surf community. So I got in the team for that, so I'm going to be heading there hopefully. Just kind of maybe make some clips, go travel with some cool people, and just try to get better surfer in my all round and better person, and just have some fun with it. There's going to be no pressure for the next couple of months, just see where the wind takes me.
I love it. Well, before we let you guys go, we put out a feeler for questions from the At the Lineup Pod community on Instagram. We got a lot back for both of you guys, but we've whittled them down to 3 questions. First question is from @Rory_Evans1, who says, love to see British surfing success. How do you both view British European surfing becoming more competitive in future?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I think the British surf community and everything like that, I think it's grown massively. We've now got the British Progression Squad, which is an Olympic pathway for British surfers, which has been a big thing. They've taken us on cool trips. They're getting us getting us in the best surf conditions they can. So that's been a big thing. And then you got all the Groms coming up. They've got something to look up to, look forward to. And they're all progressing really fast. Like my little brother, he's 8. He's part of the surf community too. He's loving it, and to see him and all his younger friends come up, I think there's going to be a pretty gnarly British surf scene come through in the next couple of years, which I'm excited to see. And I think the biggest thing for England especially is maybe the next couple of years get a couple more local comps going, which is what Nuki Board Eyes are trying to do. And just so the kids get more experience in surfing heats, using priority, and just so they can take that to then the European level and then the world level, because that was a big thing I had when I was younger. We had the UK Pro Surf Tour. That isn't a thing anymore, but when it was a thing, it was amazing. We had contests in Cornwall, we had contests in Wales, Scotland. So it was like a big circuit, and that's where I think I learned all my contest skills from. So something like that would be amazing to see come through again. They're starting out for the under 14s now. There's like a junior tour. So yeah, we'll see. But all the Roms are doing amazing, and it's cool to see. And hopefully they can push real high.
Awesome. Yeah, I think just to top that, I mean, for Lukas to be doing what he's doing right now and showing the kids that, you know, you can win a QS event on your home beach, and the kids all saw it. There was like, I think there was like 15 kids holding his board up when he won, like all of them like having one finger on it, and just being a part of that and believing that it's possible, I think is a huge part of it. So, you know, it's cool that, you know, Lukas is definitely leading the way for them and just making them see that, you know, this is it's a possible dream, you know. You can dream big and it can happen. So, yeah.
I like it. And of course, as you keep winning, Lukas, you got a built-in party venue in Nan and Granddad's brewery at home, so you're ready to roll. I thought the other point you made, Lukas, is a good one though. Like, because we see it all the time, like throughout history. It's like whenever there's a concentrated group of surfers from a particular country, every single time it's off the back of a very strong domestic competitive circuit, and just that group getting experience, whether it's the Momentum generation or, you know, the Cooley kids or the Brazilian Storm. What predates all of those movements is just having a lot of opportunity to compete at home and getting those reps and getting that confidence up. So it's well said. Second question is from Connor M. Johnson, who asks, who is better on the other's craft? Is Lukas better on a longboard than Ben is on a shortboard?
Can I start?
Yeah.
All right. So it's a definite win to Lukas on this one. At the end of the day, I'm actually, he's not allowed to ride my longboards anymore. I actually don't allow it. To be quite honest, he's very, very annoyingly good on a longboard. His footwork is pretty exceptional, and he doesn't do it ever, which is why it's so annoying for me. But yeah, I don't want to surf against him in a heat right now on a longboard. I definitely used to enjoy shortboarding a lot, and I enjoy the challenge of competing against him one day. But he's definitely taking the win on this.
Yeah, I don't know. He keeps it pretty quiet, but he actually shreds on the shortboard too. The other day we were at a high tide fish show, and he was on one of the hydroplanes, so it's his new model that's out in Thunderbolt, and he paddles out and goes left and does a full reverse. And I was pretty like, what the hell? But yeah, that was pretty cool to see. So, but yeah, longboarding, I don't know. I kind of just do it for the fun of it sometimes, and it's cool to do it with Dad, and yeah, it's cool.
It definitely historically gives you a pretty unique line at even the sort of elite level shortboarding. I remember Julian Wilson was like a national longboard champion as well, and you could see it. You can see there's just that little bit of difference when they come up. So I think it's very cool, and you're both very humble for giving the other one the win there. Last question from South Coast David. This is a fun one. As a Devon resident, I'm keen to know, do they honestly prefer jam first? So you're going to have to explain what this question is, and then you have to answer it.
Okay, well, yeah, 100%. Always jam first. So in England, we have our traditional cream tea, you know, English scone with jam and cream. And if you're from Cornwall, it's always jam first. But if you're from Devon, they put the cream first. And so, if you're Cornish, it's jam first, always. So next time you're having a scone and you want to put cream and jam, try it. Which one's easier, jam first with cream after, or cream and then the jam? Any experience in that, Dave?
Well, now that you mention it, so my mom's Australian. Her parents were from the UK. One was from Cornwall. The other one was from Kent. I'm just thinking of it's easier to not mess up the butter tub if you go, or cream tub if you go cream second. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
With a knife. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So good. I'm not allowed in Devon, but I'll be welcome in Cornwall. So that works for me.
You're always welcome in Cornwall for jam first.
I appreciate that. Well, thanks to everyone who wrote in at the Lineup Pod on Instagram. We are now down to our final segment. This is the lightning round. So we've got 10 questions for you to answer as quickly as you can. And for operational integrity, we'll go wisdom before youth. So I'll ask the question, Ben, you go, Lucas, you go, and then we'll run through that way. First question. If you could only have one board set up for the rest of your life, single fin, twin fin, thruster, quad bonzer, or finless, which would you choose?
Twin.
Thruster.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Burrito or pizza?
Pizza.
Burrito.
Last book you read?
Fantastic Mr. Fox, probably.
Mine was the Kelly Slater book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best surf film ever?
Green Iguana.
The View from the Blue Moon.
Okay. What is one wave you never have to go back to?
Town.
Consistency there. I like it. If you only get to surf one wave for the rest of your life and you can dreamcast it, perfect conditions, just your friends out, what would it be?
Oh, J-Bay.
Oh. I actually have no idea. Perfect Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Best person to share a lineup with?
Lucas.
Him sometimes until he gets to go.
Worst person to share a lineup with?
Lucas.
I knew that was coming. All right, last one. Finish this sentence. I will next achieve a state of happiness by...
I will next achieve a state of happiness by drinking a cold beer in the sunset in Onglet.
Going surfing with my friends this evening.
Awesome. Ben and Lukas Skinner, thank you so much for coming on the lineup. Lucas, good luck in Onglet this week, and Ben, absolutely good luck at Abu Dhabi and eventually El Salvador. Guys, it was really nice talking to you. I hope we get to do it again, and look forward to catching up with you in person down the track.
Likewise. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, legend. Thank you.